In this video, we are going to take a look at the differences between Bright Data and Scribe.io in terms of lead generation. Let's check it out. Let's start with Bright Data. According to the description, Bright Data is the world's #1 web data platform. I have a confession to make. I worked with them once or twice about 4 years ago, so the way I would describe it in my own words is Bright Data delivers the infrastructure to collect data at scale without getting blocked. When logging into the interface for the first time, you have access to 4 different ways to do so. The first one is called Web Datasets. This is useful if you want to buy already existing data. Scribe.io is also a web dataset, but laser focused on Google Maps. So to make a thorough comparison, let's type Google Maps into the search bar. Here we go, Google Maps full information. We have a total of 75 million leads. And if we click on statistics, we notice the records are updated at least once a month. Now, I like you guys, but I wasn't ready to spend $250 for a 10-minute tutorial. Fortunately, we can freely download a sample in CSV or JSON format. To make it more interesting, I've also downloaded another file, this time from Scribe.io. I put both files side by side to compare. They both have data such as place ID, name, address, category, review count, rating, website, phone number, is claimed, and other minor details. So far we have collected comprehensive Google Maps data, but no enriched data. On second thought, Scribe.io can allow you to directly enrich data. Based on the website, we might have a chance to retrieve email addresses, social media links, contact pages, metadata, and in overall over 70 different columns. We will leave you a sample in the description if you want to check it out.
Off the bat that I want to say that if anyone's AI tool promises to scrape any site for you, then most likely lying.
The speaker here is named John Watson Rooney. He is probably in the S tier of YouTube creators dedicated to learning Python, web scraping, and APIs. So when one of the key figures of web scraping is pointing out AI as being detrimental to the industry, let's say it draws attention. One may safely wonder whether the new AI tool from Bright Data will truly allow you to transform plain English queries into structured datasets, or is it another shiny, fashionable feature? Let's check that out. Now, if you are new to this, I would still recommend you to take a look at the documentation, so you can learn what a good prompt looks like. For example, we can write, find all fintech companies in Brazil that raised funding in the past 18 months and offer earned wage access. Show company name, HQ city, last funding round, CEO name. It leads us to the following formula. Find all entities that meet conditions. Show column 1, column 2, column 3, blah blah blah. I've seen in the Scribe.io file that we can gather the column website meta generator as enriched data. So we can know which sites have the mention wix.com website builder, for example. Can we do a similar thing on Bright Data? I thought it was going to be easy. Unfortunately, something unexpected happened. Look at this. I cannot use the deep lookout feature because I'm logged in with a personal email address, and it's for business emails only. Now, this is not the end of the world. I'm going to create another account, and I see you back in a moment. So here is what I've written. Find all restaurants in Charlotte, North Carolina, USA on Google Maps that have wix.com website builder as their website meta generator value. Show name, address, website meta generator. Let's take a look together. So we have access to a preview, but much more interesting, the AI is suggesting us some refinements. So I've asked for restaurants as a main activity only opened restaurants, and within the city limits only. And based on this criteria, we can come back to our database. We have 75 records as expected. However, it seems that the database hasn't been filtered in the sense that we have a mix of websites containing a Wix metadata and those not containing a Wix metadata. But anyway, let's take a closer look by downloading a sample, and at least we have a column with the reasoning, meaning the reason why the Wix website check is set up to yes or no, the The evidence strongly supports that the site does not use Wix, therefore it has been set up to no. The wixsite.com explicitly shows Wix branding in the snippet and page content, therefore it has been set up to yes. Oh, and for the record, directly after saying,
Off the bat that I want to say that if anyone's AI tool promises to scrape any site for you, then most likely lying.
John Watson-Rooney qualified his opinion.
Don't get me wrong, AI does have a place in our workflow, but the world of scraping consistently at scale has much bigger issues that it can't really solve.
Regarding the scalability issue, here is how it has been addressed in Bright's Data's documentation. The maximum absolute limit per query is 1,000 records. One may assume that they are perfectly aware of what they are doing. AI is a cool trick. However, it's not magical, and most importantly, not scalable. The third one is web scrapers. This is where things get serious. Choose your target domain, set your parameters, and start collecting data. What are we waiting for? Google.com. We end up with 4 sub-scrapers related to Google Maps. Discover by CID, discover by place ID, collect by URL, and discover by location. I'm going to go for discover by location, as we want batches of new leads rather than having them enriched one by one. If you click on it, 2 options are displayed: Scraper API and no-code scraper. I tried them both, and because I'm not a web developer, and by that I mean this is like Elvish to me, so let's start with the no-code scraper option. As an input, we face 5 criteria: country, latitude, longitude, zoom level, and keywords, but only these 2 are required. As an example, I'm looking for restaurants in Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. In the United States, I can click and select a custom output schema. This means picking up only some output fields while removing other unnecessary ones. Let's click and start collecting. After a few moments, it is done. You have your files within the logs tab with the status, the success rate, and the number of records. Okay, let's download it in CSV format, and this is what it should look like. Well, this method works superbly well with the same columns as the one from the web datasets, but, and this is what makes me want to bang my head against the wall, the scraper has a limitation of 200 businesses per location. And by making the very same request on scrap.io, I can tell you there are way more than 200 results. Look at this. This is what the interface looks like on scrap.io. We were looking for restaurants. If my memory serves, it was in the US, and more specifically North Carolina, right? Targeting a city called Charlotte. I click on search, and how many leads do we expect to get? Around 2,000 results. So this is only an estimate, because if I click on export, scrap.io is going to re-extract the data to make sure we have access to real-time data. I can also filter my database, let's say close permanently no, with a website. I click on filter, and then I can click on exports. And all the exports I have done so far can be found within the My Exports tab. And for each and every one of them, I can download in CSV or Excel format. Let's come back to Bright Data. Maybe the scalability problem can be overcome by the second option, the scraper API. Let's jump into it, shall we? To the right of the screen, we have access to the code example. Let's make it Python friendly. It seems we might also need an API key. We can achieve this by going to account settings and clicking add key. I really appreciate the idea that we can set up an expiration date, which allows me to edit this video without the need to blur the key at every single frame. Thank you. I've also limited the records to 30 to test the code faster. Finally, I copied, pasted the code, and ran it once. And by doing so, I end up with a snapshot ID, but also another entry within my logs tab. When the status is switched to ready, I can manually download my file. Also, more conveniently, I can monitor the progress of my scraping. The documentation can be found by visiting this URL. I can try it, and as long as I get my bearer token and my snapshot ID, it should work just fine. The final status can range from ready and running to failed. By the way, something I haven't mentioned because it's not its main purpose, but Bright Data doesn't have a monopoly on APIs. Scrap.io can also do a bunch of cool stuff. If you click an API at the bottom of the landing page, here is what you are going to see: a list of our API endpoints. But my favorite is, without a doubt, the Enrich API. With that one, I can look up Google Maps information related to a domain name, an email address, or a phone number. What I usually do is to take my list of websites, then I'm using this API as an indirect way to easily scrape websites. I know, I'm making my life difficult. I like coding, but coding doesn't like me. We cannot talk about Bright Data without mentioning its proxy network. Among the list, we are going to focus on residential proxies, as they are more reliable in the long run. Just a word about how to set them up. Okay, I click on Get Started, I type a zone name, I can specify default countries, US, Poland and France. All that remains to do is to choose a proxy type, shared pool or dedicated. Having access to dedicated proxies sounds like a better plan. So let's click on dedicated. Wait. What do you mean I cannot unlock it?
Can you talk a bit about that, about what you have put in place to make sure that you can use this residential proxy?
Yeah, sure.
The man who is talking here is Ronnie Shalit. He is the Chief Compliance and Ethics Officer at Bright Data. This can be translated as:
my job is to make sure you are not using our proxies to harm someone else's website.
This is a challenging part because when you set up a platform, any SaaS platform for that example, you want to have as less friction as possible. But with Bright Data, we do have that in place, but as you need more and more special access rights and residential system, the residential network is one of them, we need to get to know you better. And this is why we took the KYC, the Know Your Customer process, which basically we ask two different questions. The first one is who you are, and the other part is to know what exactly is your use case. That the results at the end of us being, we don't approve or don't accept hundreds, if not thousands of customers on a yearly basis.
Now, Bright's data verification process is divided into 8 different steps. It might look overwhelming, and it sure does create friction, as the approval process can take up to 1-2 business days. To be honest, while making this video, I hesitated to show you how I go through the whole process, but my ethics dictate not to bother a poor sales manager for something I will barely use. Let's keep it to shared and add the new zone. Finally, I can test it in the Playground tab. I run my request and I'm located in the US. I run it one more time and now I live in Poland. A couple more tries later and I'm finishing my race eating frog legs in France. Your proxy is good to go. To summarize, here are your 4 ways to gather leads with Bright Data: web datasets, AID Lookup, web scrapers, and proxies. However, as we have seen, with the exception of web datasets, all other options require additional effort and often solid coding knowledge alongside. Even if we consider the biggest lead database on the planet, we can unlock nearly 75 million leads at our fingertips. That number even scares me. Or maybe it doesn't. Of course, such a list cannot be exhaustive, but can't we get more? What do you think? How many businesses are listed globally on Google Maps?
Sur la page à propos du site, j'ai mis qu'on était à 200 millions de Google Place Index. Je suis dans la version anglaise, donc de place d'établissement indexé. Mais en fait, si je regarde, on est à 200 aujourd'hui. On est à 274 millions 405 000. Sachant qu'on garde les établissements fermés pendant environ 1 an. Avant de les supprimer. Après, ça représente peut-être 5%, quelque chose comme ça. Donc c'est pas non plus énorme, mais oui, il y en a beaucoup, oui.
For scraping Google Maps, Scrap.io is a no-brainer solution. On Scrap.io, we don't provide the infrastructure for you to code your scraper. We simply provide you real-time direct quality data within a couple of clicks. And with the proper plan, I can collect leads at the scale of a country without even needing to think about it. I'm sorry to brag a little, so let's just add that by clicking the link in the description, your first 100 leads are totally offered